welcome. You have now entered the Turks and Caicos tropical islands, alright? Welcome aboard, mate, okay? Here, you'll be treated to a lovely, lovely beach with beautiful, beautiful palm trees, alright? And now, I'm just kidding, guys. It's me. You clicked on this video, and it's a podcast. So, good morning, okay? Local time here is 4:21 in the morning, okay? Welcome back to Unwind the Madness podcast. The podcast where I unwind the madness, okay? I hope you enjoyed that intro. It was kind of weird. I'm sorry, but it is very, very early, and I'm very, very tired. Okay? Wow. I need to wake up. Hopefully this podcast will wake me up a bit. Okay? All I have to say is, holy crap. Okay? That's all I gotta say, is holy crap. Alright? What? I don't know how crazy it's been for you guys watching, but for me, the past, month has been absolutely insane, okay? Absolutely insane, alright? The craziest, one of the most craziest it's been, okay? So, let's dive right in, because I have a lot to share, and I don't have a lot of time. I mean, I could have a lot of time, but it's just schedule, Okay. So, as you guys know, I had summer, okay? Summer was fun. It was interesting. A lot of things happened, okay? And then, towards the end of summer, a little thing started I like to call school, okay? Every kid around my age starts it. And, I started school. So, things were going good. You start to get into it. You're kind of out of it, because you've been in summer and you haven't been in school, so you have to adjust for the first couple weeks. And then at my school we had this camp thing, and it was fun. It was fun, and then when I got back, it was the camp thing was 2 days, Thursday and Friday. Okay, so the first week of school was the first week of school. We did all the introduction stuff and blah 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 blah. Nobody cares about that. But I think it was the second week of school. We had Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of normal school, and then Thursday and Friday we had the camp at my school, just as a little fun thing to do, And then Thursday and Friday it was fun. We had fun, partied, or not partied, but did things that was cool. And then on Saturday, that's when it went downhill. Or Friday night is when it went downhill. I noticed that I kind of started feeling kind of sick, not really my usual self. I usually feel, fine. And I started getting, my throat kind of got a little sore. And then, Friday night, I had really trouble sleeping. And then Saturday morning, wiped me out like a hurricane. Like a hurricane, alright? The sore throat got worse overnight, which made me really, it troubled with my sleep, and I couldn't sleep at all because of it. It was really bad. And I've gotten sore throats in the past because of sicknesses, but this one was, next level, and I'm talking, next level. And I kind of got a little concerned, but not too concerned, oh, maybe I should get this checked out, maybe it's fine, but... And then on Sunday, I started feeling kind of worse, and my sore throat got even worse. And then I was like, okay, it's time to get this checked out. And so I got tested for, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I got tested for COVID, okay? And I got two tests. I got one COVID test, and I got one strep throat test, because who knows, it could have been strep throat, alright? For all I know, I could have just had strep throat, gotten some medicine, and been okay. Alright? But, obviously, or not obviously, but obviously, that wasn't the case. Okay? that was not the case. Wasn't feeling it. Okay, so I took the COVID test. I took the strep test. Strep test came back negative, and you already know this is going. COVID test came back positive, and then I was like, okay, well, crap. So I had gotten COVID, and I had to stay home for like a week, 2 weeks, something like that. I had to stay home for a long time, and I missed school for that long, and I'm just gonna say that was it was terrible. Okay, it was bad. I had to stay in my room for 2 weeks. All I had was the things I had in my room. I had kept taking like medicine to help me feel better, and over time I got better. The sore throat was gone, and then I kept progressing. And then I didn't lose taste. I lost my smell, and my smell still isn't like 100%. Okay. Sometimes I can smell things, but not very strongly, like I used to. And this was like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and my smell isn't still 100%. So, but I can taste. So, after a while, I kept getting better, and like I have a bunch of things in my room. Like I have a computer, I have a laptop, I have a TV, but I also had schoolwork to do. So I had a lot of things to do, but sometimes I just got really bored, and I did go outside too, because there's no way I would just spend all the time in my room and not go outside. But I did go outside, and I did some things. Like outside, I stretched and I got some sun, but that was good. And over time, I got better. And then when I felt better and I didn't have it anymore, or I was doing better, I went back to school. So I went back to school on a Thursday, and I had 2 days to catch up. Okay? And so, I was like, alright, I'm back in school, I'm back in the game. This is good. I can catch up next week. But, so COVID, that was the first thing. That was the first, like, uh-oh, that happened. Okay? And now, here comes the second uh-oh. Alright? Now, this is a big one. Both of them are pretty big, but the second one is even bigger than the first uh-oh. Alright? So, the second uh-oh, so after having COVID, I was getting back into school. I was like, yes, I'm ready. Next week I can catch up. And then the weekend falls, like Friday happens, and then Saturday happens, and then here in Texas, we have a little thing called extreme weather, and part of that extreme weather is hurricanes. All right, tropical storms, hurricanes. If you live on the Gulf Coast or the East Coast, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, if you live somewhere else in the U.S. or somewhere else and you don't know what a hurricane is, so around the summertime, from like, I'm going to say June through November, we have a season called hurricane season, and it's caused by dust and wind push off the African continent, and they push over the ocean, and then eventually they like swell up into thunderstorms, and then they gather off the coast of Africa. And around that time, the water in the Atlantic and the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico get really warm, and it's usually like above 80 degrees, and that's perfect for these storms when they come off the African coast, and they flare up into thunderstorms. And then if they get collected just enough, they start forming, and they start like spinning. And if they get organized, they collect up that warm water into water vapor, and that it pushes up into the clouds, and it just makes the storm even stronger. And so eventually they just start like gathering. If they're strong enough, they start gathering and spitting, and like become the giant giant spinning thing of air and wind and rain and storms and lightning, and just crazy. But sometimes that's not the case. It depends on, like, I'm not a meteorologist, but I do know a lot about weather. Like, I keep track of it because why not? but it depends on like the trough and the air jet stream, or like if there's wind shear, or it just depends. And if it goes over cold water, it deteriorates. But if they're strong enough and there's no wind shear or whatever, and they start spinning, they could get pretty bad. So when they come off the coast, it depends on where they go. They could go into the Caribbean and go in the Gulf of Mexico and hit the Gulf Coast, or they could hit it in multiple places. They could hit the Gulf Coast, they could hit Florida, they could hit like Yucatan Peninsula, Central America. They could hit the East Coast. So that side, all that area could be hit by hurricanes. But sometimes they don't get so organized, okay? So around Friday or Saturday, we started tracking a disturbance in the Caribbean, okay? And you know, we watch them to make sure they don't turn into something. And then eventually, like Saturday night into Sunday, we realized we had a problem. Like a disturbance had formed in the Caribbean, and then it went over the Yucatan Peninsula, and then it went into the Bay of Campeche, which is like the Gulf of Mexico, but like, you know how it looks like a camel and there's like the mouth? It's like down south. Editor, put in a picture, because some people won't know where that is, but obviously I do. But editor, put in a picture. And it went across the Yucatan Peninsula, and it went into the Bay of Campeche, and it organized. And obviously we were like, okay, this is going to hit us. We got to prepare. But there's a little thing called wind shear, and I'm not 100% sure what it is, but it's like when there's strong winds and they go a certain direction, they just push. And sometimes that can happen to storms if they go in the Gulf and there's wind shear. They just like completely shred the storm to parts. They just shred it to parts, and it stops it from organizing. And that's what happened with this certain storm that was hitting, okay? So it went to the Bay of Campeche, and then it eventually made its way to the Gulf. And it got closer to the Texas coast. And we were watching it, and there was actually wind shear that was pushing all the rain like east of us. And so the center of the storm was like near the South Texas coast, and it wasn't even close to where we live. And then the rain got pushed because of that wind shear, and the rain pushed it towards us. And so the rain came before the actual storm hit. And then it started strengthening. It got into a really strong tropical storm, and it like went around the Texas coast, and then it like went in, and then it like went down. It took a really, really weird track. All right, it went like up and then down, and then we thought it was gonna make landfall at like Matagorda Bay, and then it just curved to the right. It curved to the right, and we were like, okay, it's messed us up. And then it just like went up the coast a little bit, like went along the coast, and then it finally made landfall about where the studio is located. And it made landfall towards us, and then it went right over us, and then like went down east, and then now it's in Louisiana or whatever. It's not even here anymore, but it got stronger and stronger until as soon as it made landfall, it got up to a Cat 1, and then we were like, oh crap, it's about to hit. We better bunker down. And so it hit as a Cat 1, and it was pretty windy. All night I couldn't sleep. I heard things banging, heard things clanging, and then I heard this big thud, and then I was like, uh-oh, I better check what that was. And I have a pool, and I have a pool deck, and I had like I have a table and chairs and umbrella. So I didn't bring anything in for some reason. Like we didn't bring anything in because they told us it wasn't going to be windy or whatever, and that was a mistake. So I kept hearing the table and the umbrella move, and I was like, uh-oh, it's going to fall off the table. That's not good. It's going to fall into the pool and destroy the pool. Or it's going to fall off the deck. I have a pool deck, and I have a patio. And both of those have chairs, table, and an umbrella. And so I had to go out at 2:30 in the morning into the storm, into 70-mile-an-hour winds with 90-mile-an-hour wind gusts and sticks flying through the air. I got hit by so many sticks, and as soon as I got out there, I was drenched, like absolutely drenched in water. I had to go out into the storm, take the umbrella down. I had to unscrew it from the bottom, take it out of the base without it taking me away and flying me away into the darkness with the storm. Like, I had to go out there, unscrew it, and take it out of the base without it catching the air and taking me away into the darkness. And I had to run down the steps without tripping. I was just getting hit by blinding rain. And then I had to get the other one, and that one wasn't so bad, but I don't want to do that again. And it was just scary. Okay, and so after that, I'm like terrified, and I can't go to sleep. And then I get like maybe an hour, 2 hours of rest, and then the power goes out, obviously. And it's like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm like, uh-oh, the power went out. Great, now I can't sleep. Like, if I couldn't sleep before, now I really can't sleep because the power's out. I don't have a fan. I don't have music to listen to. I don't have anything. And so, when the power goes out during a storm, during a hurricane, it gets really quiet because there's no background noise from anything. There's no background noise from a fan if you sleep with a fan, but like, it gets really quiet and you can pretty much hear everything that goes on in the house. And if you're like me and you live down south and you live in a hot climate like Texas or Florida or Louisiana or somewhere around there, you probably need a fan to sleep. At least I do, because if I don't have a fan, I'm like sweating to death and I can't sleep. And so the power goes out and I'm like, oh great, now I'm not going to be able to sleep even more. And then it comes back on. And then I'm like, oh yay, the power's back on. I can turn my fan on again and sleep. And then that stays on for I'd say about 2 minutes, and then it goes off again. And I'm like, oh great, it just turned off. And then that was about 6 minutes, it was off, and then it came back on, and I'm like, yay! And that stayed on for about 4 minutes. And I was like, yay, it's back on. And then it finally turns off again. And this time, it was off for at least 30 minutes. And I'm like, alright, this is it. The power's off. I'm not going to be able to sleep. And then guess what? It comes back on again. And then once it comes back on, I'm like, finally, just please stay on. Like, I can't take it anymore. I keep turning on and off my fan, and it's messing my sleep schedule up. It kept waking me up. Because every time the power would come back on, my PC would turn on for some reason. Like, it was pitch black, and then I get these RGB lights start flashing at me, and it kept flashing and flashing and flashing. And it was giving me a headache, because every time they would come on, I would get these flashing lights. I would go from complete darkness to flashing RGB rainbow lights. And it was just bad. And then it finally turned off. And it was off for a while. But eventually we got it back. And when it was off, I heard some really weird things. Like, when a hurricane hits and your power goes off and you hear everything. You hear your house and outside in your yard make some really weird noises. And you see things when it's pitch black. And I saw... Now, I've heard of this before, in hurricanes, but I saw this lightning, and it didn't look like normal lightning, and I was trying to comprehend it, and I'm like, that isn't normal lightning, and it was green. It was green lightning. I saw it outside my window, and I was like, that is weird. That's, really weird, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then I heard this, noise. It sounded like a foghorn. Every time the lightning would strike, after it would strike, it was like, and it was the weirdest thing ever. It freaked me out. And I just kept hearing the wind back. I would hear it get super, super windy, 90-mile-an-hour winds. That's the wind gusts we had. And then it would kind of go down to 70 or whatever. and then it would just ramp up and then get even worse. It was just bad. I did not sleep one bit. And then the next morning, and then after a while, I eventually wake up. I fall asleep because I get tired, and then I wake up and I don't hear a single thing. All I hear were crickets outside. Like I didn't hear any wind, didn't hear any rain, and I heard nothing but crickets and frogs going absolutely bonkers. And it was like 4 a.m. by now. And I went to go look up the storm, and I realized I didn't have any power, so I just looked it up on my phone. And it eventually, it was like, it was right over us, but it was kind of more east of us. And I was like, oh, maybe the storm is over, because I didn't hear a single thing. And I eventually just stayed up from 4 a.m. till like 7 a.m. And I went outside, and obviously there were branches down, and my whole yard was just a mess. Luckily, the studio was fine, and nothing happened to it. But it did lose power, and I had to shut off all the equipment because it would get ruined. Because it was a whole mess. So, after having COVID, I was like, I'm ready to get back into school. I'm ready. Let's go. Hurricane hit, and school was delayed one day, but it seemed like forever, and especially with the power out, but it was just a lot. That was pretty much what happened while I was gone and not making podcasts. So, if you're wondering why I uploaded the Terry video, but I wasn't very consistent in my videos. If you're wondering why I wasn't very consistent, I just told you all the reasons why. So, that's pretty much what happened. Hold on, while I was filming this, I have a video converting and exporting. So hold on, give me a second, I gotta export. Alright, it's exported. Now I just have to upload it. So, this is coming out on Wednesday. What is today, the 17th? Yeah, today's the 17th. So this is going to come out Wednesday the 22nd. Okay? So, happy Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I feel like I just lifted a burden off my chest. I got it off my chest, which is good. I got everything I needed to say out. It's just been crazy, man. It's been absolutely nuts. But hopefully, thankfully, I'm back and I can make more videos again. So, I made a gaming video that just exported. So that'll come out the 20th. And this will come out the 22nd. And then I might have one the 24th or 25th, depending what happens this weekend. If I feel like making another one. Probably not, but actually I might make this come out on Friday instead of Wednesday. Yeah, this is coming out next Friday. So next week, I got 2 videos coming out. I got a gaming video the 20th, and I got this podcast on the 24th. So set your calendars and be ready for complete awesomeness this week, whatever. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.